I'd like to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the 2020 Blackhawk football team. What a crazy year 2020 has been with all the COVID considerations and just a lot of changes. And I was extremely proud of our kids. I thought looking at this year's team, we had an awesome group of kids, especially the seniors. What a great group to coach. Felt like they were very resilient. This is a group that won a lot of games over the last 2 years. They were part of a conference champion last year in 2019. Um, I really appreciate their leadership. They're a very tight knit group. They like each other a lot, and they're terrific role models for our younger guys. And I definitely think they earned respect from many people. And I'd like to take an opportunity to talk a little bit about each of our senior players. Uh, as they've done such a terrific job, and we want to highlight them. The first kid I'd like to talk about is Taylor Locker. Um, Taylor is an awesome kid. I remember him back in fifth grade being a manager on the sideline. My wife had him as a student, and she said, "Hey, you're going to love this Taylor Locker." And he winds up being a ball boy. And I remember the first time meeting him, and boy, has he developed into an outstanding high school football player. 2-year starter for us on the offensive and defensive lines. Taylor was one of our captains, very good leader for us. He really did have an outstanding career. Taylor this year was selected all middle border conference as both an offensive lineman and as a defensive lineman. He loves the game of football. He was a terrific teammate, and he's a guy that gave it everything he had every day. You never had to worry about Taylor Locker being ready to roll, and he certainly did that. And he was also selected all region. So Taylor Locker was a phenomenal kid. Next kid I'd like to talk about is Carson Lee. And Carson is one of the most improved kids that I've coached. When you look at where he was as a freshman in high school, and you look at where he is as he graduates as a senior, not only has he transformed his body through lifting and working out, improving his speed and strength and agility, but boy, has he made tremendous gains in his confidence and his maturity. Um, he was a terrific player for us. Carson averaged 12 yards a carry this year, and I believe he had 4 touchdowns. He's also a starter for us on defense at whip, and he is one of he has a great combination of size and speed, and certainly strong. And I used to just love watching Carson in practice, just running so hard, carrying out fakes. Like he just has one speed, and he plays all out. And very excited uh, about the impact that Carson's had on our team, and he's a kid that's looking at playing possibly college football next year at UW River Falls, and wish him the best in that endeavor. Another Carsonundy. Uh, Boy, what a terrific, selfless guy. Carson Lundy is a team first person. Here's a guy that played running back throughout his career, and then this year, team needs, due to our team needs, he was willing to move to offensive line. And Carson probably weighs 170 pounds, but he's strong as heck, and he did a terrific job for us. He also started as a defensive end for us all year, and he really was one of our emotional leaders. He turned what we were concerned about at defensive end into a very solid uh, spot on our defense. He's very coachable. He had an awesome senior year, and he really did lead us emotionally. He was a guy that definitely rallied the troops on the field, and again, a guy that always put the team first, and that's something that I'm always going to remember about Carson Lundy. And another player I'm going to highlight would be Brady Gordon. Okay. Brady Gordon is a selfless guy because when you show up to practice every day, and Brady was in a situation where he didn't get as much playing time as he would have liked, I'm sure, but he showed up every day and he contributed in the scout team stuff. He provided us significant depth at guard and defensive end. When he got a chance to play, I know he enjoyed playing. And I think there's no doubt that Brady Gordon grew as a leader. He became more vocal. I saw him becoming more confident. And I appreciate everything you did for our program, Brady. Thank you. Next player, Tanner Halldorf. Um, Tanner had an outstanding offseason where he's worked as hard as anyone I've really seen prepare for a season. I mean, he was all in. The switch flipped. He was a hard worker, but this after his junior year, he kicked it into high gear, and he has a terrific work ethic. He's one of the fastest kids, not just on our team, but he would be one of the fastest kids in the middle border, which is fairly obvious. He averaged 25 yards per catch this year, 25 yards a catch, which is amazing. He had 13 catches and four of those going for touchdowns. Tanner was selected all middle border conference at wide receiver. He was also selected at defensive back. Tanner led our team with 4 interceptions. And he's one of our captains as well. Love his work ethic. He was awesome working with the younger guys, like coaching the next free safety. He spent a ton of time, talking with the younger guys, and that's a cultural thing that I'm proud of. And Tanner really displayed what we want done there. And Tanner is going to be playing some college football next year, I believe, at UW Oshkosh, and we wish him the best. That's a really good program, and excited to see what Tanner can do down the road. The next senior we're going to highlight is Peyton Menting. Uh, Peyton provided quality depth for us on both the defensive line and offensive line. And what you had with Peyton was a kid who was very smart, um, way above average mobility for a defensive lineman. He was a guy that was hugely important on scout team, always gave us a great look. In fact, there were times that he was a pain in the neck, which is exactly what we want. We knew we could count on him to compete every day. And every time he got into a game and got a chance, he took advantage of it. He was effective. And certainly a guy that accepted his role and was always ready when called on. And those are really important things that I think can, being part of a team and understanding your role is an important skill. And I thank you for what you did for us, Peyton. Next is Grady McAbee. Grady played very significant snaps for us early in the year on both the offensive and defensive line. He was playing some defensive end for us. We had him playing a little bit of whip, and he was also playing guard. But thankfully, but also tragically, Grady had his season cut short. We're just thankful he didn't get hurt worse than he did due to a car accident, and he was injured, and he really was unable to come back and play. I'm just thankful that nothing happened there. But he did get part of his senior year robbed from him because of that injury, which is always tough. What I think defines Grady McAbee is the fact that even when he was injured, he was always there. Didn't matter how cold it was. Grady was going to be at practice, supporting his teammates, and he really has a good attitude. And I felt like that attitude that he displayed was something that rubbed off on not just his class, but our entire team. And I really appreciate what Grady did for us as well. The next senior we're going to talk about is Isaiah Randall. I would say that Isaiah is an extremely talented running back. He may be one of the best running backs that I've ever seen running the zone scheme. He has a combination of patience and vision, great balance, strength. He's a terrific running back. Um, I think he has a very, very bright future, and I believe his best football is in front of him. Isaiah led our team in rushing with 428 yards, averaged 8 yards a carry. Isaiah was a captain. Isaiah is a leader for us for sure. He also had a really important role as a buck in our defense and was one of our best defensive players. Obviously, he had an ankle injury that stole about half the season for from him, and that's always tough because I know it was really difficult for him to not be able to play. But I will say this: when we had Isaiah Randall, we lost one football game, and when we had Isaiah Randall, we won every other game that he played in. So clearly a difference maker and just a terrific kid. He's I think very well liked, team first, and I think we're going to see some big things from Isaiah Randall in college football wherever he chooses to go. He has a number of people interested in him. Next, another guy that I really enjoy coaching for a number of reasons. But when you get kids like Ethan Rumpel, who really worked his butt off and didn't really see the field as a starter until his senior year, and I thought he had a terrific senior year. Okay, smart player, versatile. We had Ethan playing some guard. We had Ethan taking some snaps at center. We had Ethan playing nose guard. We had him playing some D tackle. Ethan knew whip. Um, he's a great student and a great role model for our school. He had a terrific senior year, and I was really thrilled with how hard he worked and the improvement that he made. And he's definitely a guy that he put in his time, and when his time came, he took advantage of it. And that's exciting. Next, we have Ty Margolowski, and Ty was just I loved coaching that kid. He always has a smile on his face, and he plays the game as hard as anybody I've coached. Very smart and tough. He did everything for us. He started at cornerback, and for us, he played in the slot at running back. He was terrific at running the jet sweep. He could catch the ball. Ty returned all of our kicks this year. He returned our punts this year. Ty was recognized as an all middle border conference honorable mention at defensive back. His love of football was obvious, and he was a guy that everybody kind of fed off at Ty. He just had a knack for making big plays. I just loved his toughness. He played so many snaps, and I know that he played through a lot of pain, and he just is tough because he kept bringing it all the time. And I'll never forget that about Ty Margolowski. And then last but not least would be Sam Crowley. And man, you talk about a guy that was awesome to coach. You're talking about Sam. I will promise you that Sam Crowley is as tough as anyone I've ever coached. That is a bold statement. He was our heart and soul this year. Great problem solver at center. He understood the scheme. He was very much like having another coach on the field. Sam excelled at linebacker. You could just he has a knack for hitting people, although he is not physically a large person. The way he hit people was super impressive. Um, Sam had 49 tackles this year. He forced 2 fumbles. He was all middle border conference outside linebacker. At center, he was also voted all conference for a kid that weighed about 160 pounds. Pretty darn impressive. And I would say that Sam Crowley played the game the way it was supposed to be played. He brought it every day. He modeled toughness. He was so team oriented. He kept guys together. And it's just that's what makes coaching so much fun is getting to work with guys like all these seniors. And Sam Crowley, what a tremendous role model. And you want people to be like that. So, an outstanding group of seniors. I really appreciate all that they've done for our program, and I think that they've set a nice template for the younger kids in our program to follow. And I thank them for what they've done.